Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We meet on a very sad day for his friends and colleagues. It is a loss to all of us within the DUP. It is a loss to this chamber. It is a loss to his constituency staff and indeed his constituents in South Belfast. And above all, it is a terrible loss to his family. We have lost a great man, but perhaps more importantly, we have lost a good man today. I first met Christopher back in the days of the first Assembly, when he would have particularly accompanied his good friend and predecessor Mark Robinson to this building. Those were in the days before Christopher had been at university. He was still at school, and he was distinctive in quite often his barber jacket or his suit. I have to say Christopher was probably the oldest teenager I've ever met. And possibly a little bit like Benjamin Button, the older in terms of chronological age that Christopher got, the younger he became. But what shone out from Christopher from day one was his talent and ability. Christopher came from a loving and a close family, but he was not someone who came from any form of privilege. He was a working class boy, and all that he subsequently achieved was through his talents and his ability, whether that was academic or political. He was someone who was deeply articulate, who had great analytical skills, and had great knowledge. And even from the early days, whether you were talking about the latest developments in the chamber in Stormont, what was happening in Annandale or Sandy Row, or you were talking to him about the latest international developments in Washington or beyond, Christopher was clued in to all of that. That was why, I suppose, whenever I joined the DUP in 2002, the very first person I headhunted to come and work for me was Christopher Stalford, because he was such a person of talent and ability. I was his first employer. And down the years, I've seen his development through the DUP press office, through becoming a councillor at the age of 22, through being High Sheriff, Deputy Mayor, and eventually Principal Deputy Speaker. I have looked on that with great pride, but I have to say no surprise, because it's been the fulfilment of his ability. And as with others, I had the fortune to meet Christopher a few moments after he'd been told he was going to be Principal Deputy Speaker, and he was glowing with pride, not for his own sake, but because of the pleasure that he knew it would bring his family. Christopher was a true Belfast man. I think he lived in a number of houses throughout Belfast during his life, but he never left Belfast. He was a true Orange man. He was a true Unionist through and through. He was a politician of conviction. In an age when there was a lot of cynicism out there, he was someone who stuck by his convictions. But he was also not somebody who felt himself bound by his convictions that didn't allow him to reach out to others within society and others within this chamber. If there is one crumb of comfort that we can draw from his passing, it is, I suppose, to quote Abraham Lincoln, that it can bring out the better angels of our nature. We've seen the depth, and I've been deeply touched, and all of us have been touched, by the breadth and depth of the genuine outpouring of sympathy and hurt that has been there through the passing of Christopher. The young Christopher Stalford would be astonished and delighted to know that when he passed on, that was commented upon by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The young Christopher Stalford would be astonished and probably a little bit appalled to know that it had also been commented upon by the Taoiseach, I have to say. But it is clear, and I join with others in, I think, thanking the decency of the SDLP and the courtesy in cancelling that. I'm also very much reminded, who's commented publicly, of his old sparring partner and friend, Mary Durkin, who was until recently a SDLP councillor up in the northwest. And on any occasions, whenever I was up there and ran into Mary, the first question she always asked me, "How's Stolfie doing?" And the depth to which there is the affection for Christopher across the political spectrum and the respect that is there. He was a man, as indicated, who also came, as William has mentioned, with a great hinterland of interests. He was not somebody who was simply two-dimensional. He was great company on all occasions. He was a great wit and a great humourist, but he was also a man of untrumpeted kindness. For all of us who've received phone calls at times and difficult times from Christopher, the offer of help and support. And I know from a personal experience that towards the end of last year, when my mother passed on, Christopher was on the phone to me, knowing that I'd be alone at Christmas, insisting that I came and joined with his family at Christmas on Christmas Day. And of course, Christopher, with his hidden talents, was also an excellent chef. And it would probably not come as any great surprise that Christmas dinner, that Christopher was not going to find himself confined to anything as mundane as cooking a turkey. It was always something a bit more exotic than that. But whatever the loss that we feel, the pain and the loss of his beloved family must be absolutely at the forefront of our minds. There is no one I have ever met who has been as much of a devoted family man as Christopher, to his mother, to his siblings, but particularly to his beloved Laura and his 4 children, in which he had such tremendous pride. And they must be at the heart of our thoughts today. Let me say in conclusion, we've seen, I think, and to borrow from a funeral I was at recently, we have seen in the many summations of Christopher Stalford, 1983-2023. But the point is not when we are born or when we die, but the critical thing is the hyphen in the middle. And Christopher, in his 39 years, in terms of what he gave to society, gave more than most people give in more than twice the length of time. Christopher, you have a life well lived, and we will miss you.